A student just threw a book in your classroom. What do you do? Here's a three-step process to follow in the first 60 seconds of the crisis to immediately begin to de-escalate the student. My name is Rashonda Glenn. I've been a teacher for 29 years, and I've spent the last 18 years teaching students who have significant behavior challenges. I also write a weekly newsletter called Project Behavior Change. If you would like to receive lots of tools, tips, and tricks about de-escalation, discipline, behavior transformation, and prevention, you can sign up using the link in the description below. When you do, you'll get a free 10-page guide on how to create your very own crisis response plan delivered straight to your inbox. So let's start by talking about why the first 60 seconds of a crisis are so critical. When a student explodes, it's obvious their nervous system has been activated because we can see it in their behavior. What's talked about far less often is that as teachers, our nervous systems have been activated too. The activation of the nervous system, commonly called the fight or flight response, is part of the autonomic nervous system. So under the right conditions, it activates whether we like it or not. This means the actions we take in the first 60 seconds are not just for the students, they are for us as well. During the crisis, the brain is only asking one question: am I safe? So in the first 60 seconds, the primary goal is to deliver safety. The faster we deliver safety, the quicker the situation will begin to de-escalate. And the fastest way to deliver safety is through the things that you actually control: your tone of voice, your body language, your actions, and your choice of words. So before we talk about what 3 things to do in those moments, let's start with 2 things not to do, because these are the common mistakes that quietly make situations worse, not better. First, don't invite a power struggle. As we noted earlier, when a student's nervous system has been activated, the main thing their brain is craving is safety. The student is trying to gain safety through preserving autonomy. They are hypersensitive to any moves that we make that have the appearance of trying to control them. We therefore want to avoid language that sounds controlling. Phrases that deliver directives coupled with previewing consequences are especially triggering. These phrases sound like, "You're going to get lunch detention if you don't stop," or "You need to calm down right now or I'm calling home." These phrases often trigger psychological reactance, which is the internal drive we all have to push back when we feel our freedom is being threatened. Controlling language causes the student to want to fight back at a time when we need them to do the exact opposite. So instead, use de-escalating language. De-escalating language allows you to give the student a directive without triggering psychological reactance. One simple way to do that is by using collaborative language that invites problem solving. For example, instead of saying, "Go sit down" or "I'm calling home," say, "Let's take a seat and let's figure this out together." This shifts the moment from me versus you to us versus the problem. This lowers resistance and creates just enough safety for de-escalation to begin. If you'd like more information about using de-escalating language, I've created a free PDF called 3 Phrases You Can Use to De-Escalate a Student. Just click the link in the description below to download it. Second, don't take the behavior personally. In my opinion, this is one of the hardest things to do, especially when on the surface, the behavior feels directly targeted at you. But all behavior is communication, and all behavior meets a need, even destructive behavior. And because our own nervous system is also in fight or flight, it becomes very difficult to see the student's behavior objectively. What's really happening during the crisis is the student is trying to meet a need and does not yet know how to do it in an appropriate way. Let me give you an example. I once had a student experience a massive panic attack during a fire drill. During his panic attack, he became extremely defiant, verbally aggressive, and he refused to participate in the drill with the rest of the school. Instead, he began running all over campus looking for a place to hide. And when he couldn't find one, he began lashing out at me and the other members of the response team. I could have very easily taken his behavior personally. I mean, he was calling me some very unkind things. But what I chose to see instead was a student in extreme emotional distress, desperately looking for a way to discharge the emotional overwhelm he was experiencing in that moment. Because of that small mental shift, I and the other members of the team were able to walk him through the crisis. When we don't take behavior personally and instead we are able to view it objectively, we can stay regulated, which oftentimes allows us to speed up the de-escalation process. Now that we know the 2 things to avoid, here are 3 things you should do in the first 60 seconds. First, check in on yourself. The main goal of doing a self-check is to prevent impulsive, panic-driven responses. Remember, our nervous system has been activated too. So when the crisis hits, take a split second to pause and compose yourself. One of the best ways to begin regulating your nervous system is controlling the tone of your voice. The tone of your voice actually has power over your nervous system. If you speak in a low, calm tone, you directly stimulate the vagus nerve, which will then activate your parasympathetic nervous system. Your heart rate will slow, your thinking will clear, and you will be poised to effectively manage the stress of the moment. In a nutshell, when you speak calmly, your nervous system receives the message that you're safe and in control. And here's a bonus. Your calm, steady presence will slowly begin to down-regulate the student's nervous system as well. Next, call for support. If you see aggression escalating, call for support early. Calling for support is a professional safety decision. It protects you, the student in the crisis, and everyone else in the environment. De-escalating severe, potentially dangerous behavior is not a one-person job. When a situation is escalating, having additional trained adults changes the entire dynamic. It increases safety, reduces pressure on you, and helps prevent the crisis from spreading. Always follow your site's or your district's plan for calling for support during a behavior crisis. The exact process will look different from school to school, but the principle is the same. You should not be handling the extreme behavior by yourself. And if you're listening to this thinking, I don't have a crisis response team, well, I've created a free guide to help you build one. When you join my mailing list, that guide will be sent straight to your inbox. And finally, get curious about the student's experience. Once safety is established, this is where you shift into curiosity. Curiosity creates understanding, understanding creates safety, and safety is exactly what the student's brain is craving right now. And let's be honest, when a student is being aggressive or loud or disrespectful, compassionate empathy can be really hard to activate. And that's okay. Cognitive empathy works just fine. Getting curious about the student's experience may feel counterintuitive, but it's actually a very powerful move because you're not only taking the necessary steps to de-escalate the current crisis, but you're also gathering critical information that will help you prevent future crises from occurring. Remember, all behavior is communication. So we will take advantage of this moment to figure out exactly what the student is trying to communicate, so we can later teach them a better way. And often, this is the moment when students will finally tell you what's really going on. Now the information may come wrapped in expletives and insults, but underneath all that unkind language is valuable information about the student's experience. And that information is what will allow real behavior change to begin once the crisis settles down. So in the first 60 seconds, you're not trying to fix the behavior. During an emotional crisis, the student does not have the mental capacity needed to examine their behavior to the degree necessary to change it. Instead, you're trying to buy time. Time for you to get steady, time for the student's nervous system to settle, and time for the moment to stop spiraling out of control. Because once the moment is stable, teaching finally becomes possible again. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to grab the free resources linked in the description below. And I'll see you in the next video.